I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I've got PTSD from that vegetable. I'm like gagging every time. Avocado, that's what it is. And I know it's healthy fat and it's very good for you on fight week. And I'm definitely gonna end up eating it, but I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired of it, dude. And people love it. It's like, oh, you don't like avocado? I'm like, well, when you have to eat it so much and it's really the only healthy fat out there and constant boom, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I'm not sure if I was eating it for that much, but it's like, oh, dude, I'm tired of it. Like I'm gagging kind of eating it. So
Mana, man, appreciate you coming on again. Um, the Ronnie Lawrence, man, you got him in your hometown. Couldn't ask for
it's
nothing better, right?
not at all, especially with my second fight in the UFC. Coming off the performance I had last fight, I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, when you break down Ronnie Lawrence, man, what do you see in this matchup?
I see a wrestler. He does have his spin kick. He's got his 1-2 blitzes. Occasional flying knee. Nothing too special, or nothing that I've seen before. But I definitely see him shooting in, trying to time a little head on the outside, head on the inside double. So been training hard for that. If he comes with a different takedown approach or happens to want to keep it standing, I'll be ready for anything.
You've probably been training for that style for a long time, though, man, because you like to stand and bang. So a lot of the guys probably want to do that to you.
Yeah. Rest in peace, my coach. But before he left, one of the last conversations we had was talking about that, about how guys aren't going to want to stand and eventually want to try and get me to the ground. So I need to work my takedown defense or just work on getting right up as soon as my butt hits the mat or my back maybe hits the mat. So just work on quick get ups and keep the game standing where I like it to be.
Yeah, when you practice the takedown defense, that's I guess that small moment, you know what I mean? Like if you like let up that small moment, that could be the determining factor of you getting up real quick, right?
For sure. Yep. Very, very technical, whether it be with wall work or cage work, or even in an open mat. That one little, certain angle you hit or certain way you maneuver, your butt could definitely end up on the mat in a bad position. Your back taken, something like that. So it's definitely a very precise game, and I've been working real hard on it. So I'm excited to show off what I've been working on.
Definitely, and also the cage, the wall. You know what I mean? Like, how beneficial is that for anti wrestlers?
Oh, it's very beneficial, having that wall. I know for me, I'll say as soon as I maybe my butt hits the mat or I do happen to get taken down, I'm looking to wall walk right away, get up to the cage and crawl my back up or use that as something to get up. So um people can listen to this, watch this, take this how they want, but I don't see myself getting taken down. So if I do, I'll for that cage or I'll be looking in the open mat to get up right away. So yeah,
There's like certain, I think, basics in fighting, especially in MMA, that everybody has to train. If you're not training it, especially the wall walk and being able to utilize the cage. If you can't do that, man, once you get to the UFC, there's gonna be problems.
for sure. Yep. And these guys are high level. They've been doing it, since they were young, since they were kids. So this is like their second home, just going in there wrestling and changing levels and trying to get the person down to the ground and hold them.
You're fighting in Houston. It's not your first time fighting at the Toyota Center. You actually fought there as an amateur. What do you remember most about that experience?
I remember it being a long night. I was literally after the main event, so I was the true technical main event, last fight of the night in there, and I remember they were trying to rush us, get us in there, because I think once a certain time limit hit, the licensing for the MMA regulations would have expired, and our bout would have got canceled or rescheduled. So it was a rush to get in there, and thankfully I made quick work of it. So it's not my first time. You're right. I'm glad you know that. So I've got a feel for what it's like to be in there, and it's obviously not my first time fighting in my hometown. I've grew up there fighting in the regional scene for Fury and other promotions, and I love it, man. I can't quite express how much I love fighting in front of my hometown and just in front of a crowd in general. It really gets me amped up, going, and gets me excited to perform.
One thing about Houston is that they have a a legit music scene. So like the walkout music. Do you already know what you're gonna walk out to?
I've got ideas. I've got ideas. I remember when UFC came to Houston this last time around with Derek Lewis and Gon. Gon walked out first, but he came out to Still Tipping, and it's a pretty big anthem over here. So I was like, oh yeah, Derek, he switched it up from Tops Drop. I was like, but I love Still Tipping. So I was like, Bob, man, I look over and it's freaking Gon walking out to it, and then Derek walked out to Tops Drop. But I don't have a certain song in choice, but I definitely will probably get a little mix going and have a lot of Houston songs on there and just get the atmosphere, get the crowd going, and get the hometown vibes rocking.
For sure, man. And I just wanted to dip into talking about your UFC debut, man. It was a lot of stuff going on, right? Like you had opponent changes, COVID, then they delayed it a week, and then you had the weight miss. You're dealing with some issue, the passing of your coach, but you still got the victory. And I feel like going through all of that, you know what I mean, mental and physical adversity, do you feel like if you get through that, you could get through anything?
For sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I remember that fight week, excuse me, being a emotional roller coaster ride from the highs and lows, the ups and down, and it was definitely tough. But I made sure to stay as mentally strong as I could, despite everything going on around me, despite everything going on with me, with the little hiccup and missing weight. But yeah, thinking back and looking back and pulling off the victory and looking at the fighter that fought that fight, which is nothing like I've ever fought like in any of my fights, is like, man, if I could do that, especially in my debut, I can go places, and I can go far in this game. So that's definitely something I've mentally accepted and thought about. So yeah, yes sir.
Yeah, a huge win, man, because the dude that you fought, he's deep into his UFC career, fought all over the world, so he's seen pretty much everything, and you went in there and got the win, man. That's big for a debut, man. Um, Now, after the fight, you were walking around in crutches. How were the weeks following the fight?
It was fine. I iced it up the week after. I think I was just being a little bit of a big baby. um, and I've said it, I'm a kicker, so I was going kick for kick with him. And if you look back, he was putting 110, 150% of his effort into those kicks. They weren't just ba little touches. They were winding up like a baseball bat swing, just going for the fences with those kicks. So for me to, kind of halfway check them or barely check them sometimes, or sometimes just eat it, they added up a bit. But yeah, I was fine after. I was on crutches, but like I said, I was just being a little baby, so I healed up just fine, thankfully, and got right back to it.
Man, understandable, right? Like understandable. You're a fighter, man. You just went through 15 minutes of hell, so and
Yeah.
ain't no one gonna complain about that. Um,
Mhm.
5 months, man. Around 5 months between fights. Did you stay at Metro Fight Club the whole time, or did you go out and train a little bit in other spots?
No. After those 5 months, or during those 5 months, excuse me, I stayed at home. Just recently, I've came out here to Lee Summit, Missouri, with James Krause at Glory. So I've been here 4 going on 5 weeks, I want to say. I haven't really posted much, said much, and not many people know, which is fine. The word will obviously get out, but yeah, I've I've got the weeks down in here, gotten some great training in, and I head home next week. So I'll finish up my camp back at home with my home team, back with those guys. But yeah, this is the only other place I've been to, and I get great training at both places.
Any particular reason why you went out there to Glory?
So after my last fight, James actually contacted me personally, and said he would love to have me. He was obviously sorry for my passing of my coach, and during that 5 month span, 4 or 5 month span, I thought about it, and yeah, him reaching out to me, really like and opening and welcoming his doors to me, showed me, like, man, maybe that would be a good little change for me, and it was definitely a nice change. I've been getting some awesome work out here, and it's been great, man.
Who have been the guys that you've been like locking horns with?
It seems like a new guy every week. Like shoot, there's so many UFC guys over here. Last week I was working a lot with David Onama. I think he just had his debut a few months back. This week I've been working a lot with Tim Elliott. So from a young guy who just made his debut to a vet, as in Tim Elliott, it's been awesome work, man. So love to see it, and again, it's great work. But yeah, those two guys, and I'm sure I can pop off a few more guys, but from last week to this week, those are the main two I've been working with.
Fun times, man. You know, when you get to work with guys like that. You have a lot of knockouts. Your opponent, most of his finishes are knockouts. What do you think is going to happen in this fight?
Me getting my hand raised. um, just looking back at my record and how well I've done in Houston, I don't see any change in that. And yeah, whether it decides to be a wrestling heavy match, whether I decide for it to be a wrestling heavy match and choose to scramble with him, take him down, stuff his takedowns, or play a little bit on the ground, it just depends. But ultimately, I definitely see myself getting my hand raised and finishing him within two. That's, but if it has to go all 15, I've proven I'm capable of that, and I'm down to go all 15.
No doubt, man. No doubt, man. It's never a bad thing to go all 15, right? Because you always see those guys that get those quick finishes and they're like, oh, he hasn't gone into deep water. But early in your career, I think if you do go into deep water a few times, it helps you. And then when you start moving along, you get those quick finishes. It makes you a more solid fighter in many ways.
Yeah, definitely looking back at the last fight, I think that's one of the more exciting things I took away from that fight. Happy things is that I went all 15, and I proved and kind of shut some people up doubting that I wasn't able to go all 15. And just to get that smell, the feeling of inside the octagon and the apex is like I won't forget it because I was in there for 15 minutes. Had I been in there for a minute or two and just knocked them out real quick, couldn't quite say the same. So definitely glad it went all 15 and I got that experience time under my belt.
All right, a couple more questions before I let you go.
Mm-hmm.
Fans of MMA, man, you've experienced the probably the good and the bad, especially with the social media stuff going on. What do you think fans, MMA fans, obsess about too much that fighters really don't care about?
What do they obsess about? Their opinion, or at least for me, especially after my last fight, I had so many people come in my comments, DMs. You didn't win that fight, blah blah blah, this and that, and we, at least again, I'm speaking for myself. I don't care about your opinion. You're sitting on the couch. Your life is most likely a 9 to 5. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but you don't know the time, the effort we put in. The mental, the physical sacrifices that we do. So for you to have an opinion and think that we lost, or oh, you should have knocked that guy out. That was another big thing. Oh, that old guy, you should have knocked him out. This is the highest level. You know what I mean? The UFC. This guy's a deep, um, experienced vet, so of course he's not just gonna go get put away easy. And again, like you mentioned, the whole fight week emotional roller coaster that I had, it was just tough, and I wasn't the fighter that I usually am out there. So I think, yeah, that's one thing is their opinions. We really don't care about them. Again, at least for myself. So maybe keep them to yourself, or be a little bit more kind and treat others how you want to be treated. I know it's a very cliche saying, but hey, it goes a long way.
PTSD in combat sports. So I'm gonna give you an example. Like let's say you had a bad weight cut. Let's say I had a bad weight cut, and
Hmm.
I'm kind of traumatized by that. And let's say later on, a few months later, I smell like the sweet sweat or something like that, and that reminds me of that bad weight cut. Do you feel like you've experienced this in your career?
Not yet, to be honest. Maybe with with food on fight week. What food was it? I was like, dude, I just can't eat it. I've ate it so much, and I'm like, now kind of, I'm trying to think of what food it was, what vegetable. Was it a vegetable to be exact? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I've got PTSD from that vegetable. I'm like gagging every time. Avocado, that's what it is. And I know it's healthy fat and it's very good for you on fight week. And I'm definitely gonna end up eating it, but I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired of it, dude. And people love it. It's like, oh, you don't like avocado? I'm like, well, when you have to eat it so much and it's really the only healthy fat out there, and constant boom, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I'm not sure if I was eating it for that much, but it's like, oh, dude, I'm tired of it. Like I'm gagging kind of eating it. So maybe for that food, but as far as like, the sauna with the weight cut goes, it's part of the game. And that's a big thing. That's a mental warfare right there. If you can't do it in the sauna, who's to say you can't do it in a fight? You might break. So as long as you're listening to your body, of course, that's the first thing you want to take care of, and make sure everything's healthy there. Then I think everything else is just mental. But yeah, avocado,
All
PTS
right, all right, all right. One last thing, man. Outside of the sport, good or bad, what usually keeps you up at night?
keeps me up at night. Call of Duty, Call of Duty. But this fight camp, I didn't bring my Xbox out here, so no Warzone for me. I know there's a lot of updates. I've been missing out on playing with my boys back at home, but yeah, that's what keeps me up late back at home. We have this little group chat called Live Till 5. Outside of camp, sometimes we'll play till 5 a.m. Like we'll be that into it. So shout out to those guys. But that's outside of fight camp. Sometimes when I'm in fight camp back at home, I'll stay up maybe till midnight. Not as late, but this fight camp been cold turkey, been without it. So I've been getting some good rest, some good recovery, and when I get back home out of fight camp, maybe I'll go live till 5 again.
All right, man. Well, February 12th, UFC 271, Houston, Texas. Mana, thank you so much, man, for the time. Good luck on the fight.
Appreciate you. Good talking to you as always, John.